Please welcome to the stage Anne Marie Stephen and Jake Enyor.
Good morning. Okay, I like that. This is an engaged audience. Jake, we're in for a treat.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's had their coffee. I'm Anne Marie Stephen. This is Jake Enyor. We are excited to be here. So, one, I am a past alum of the summit. I was here a couple of years ago and had the opportunity to open and keynote and talk about innovation and technology in retail, which is one of my most favorite subjects. And Jake is an actual alum of the University of Florida. How about that? So for today's session, we're going to talk about transformation. The disruption has happened. Now what, right? And we're going to meet the transformers. So I guess that's us. We'll be the transformers for today. So currently what I do is, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, is that I came up through retail. So I have deep roots in retail. I started in stores, very humble beginnings. I went through a retail management program, trained at Carson Perry Scott, P.A. Bergner & Company. I'll share that with you in this audience because that should ring some bells with some people here. And then I ran stores and then eventually became a national sales manager on the wholesale side. And then I was recruited into retail technology at the forefront of moving innovation forward into brick and mortar environments through video analytics. So I'm very familiar with data analytics technology and the value that brings to moving a business forward. And Jake, we'll talk about Jake in just a minute, but he and I are going to have a conversation after I share a few images and slides with you. But Jake leads digital innovation for Moet Hennessy, which is a spirits brand owned by Louis Vuitton Company, and he's got some amazing things to share with us today. So let's talk about transformation. What has happened and where we're at today. One of the things that we hear a lot about is keeping the customer at the center of our conversation. And why is that? Because the customer has been transformed through technology, right? All of us have a mobile device. Although I am currently without one as I dropped mine yesterday, and I managed to completely kill it. So I have to tell you that puts strikes fear in me, and I had to become very resourceful. I didn't know how to get around this lovely campus last night, and Jake gave me a little tour so I wouldn't get lost, which was terrific. Wonderful to get some fresh air and see the campus. But if anyone's forgotten your mobile device, lost your mobile device, broken your mobile device, right? I don't even know. I said, what am I going to do? How am I going to get a ride home? How am I going to get to the airport? Right? I used to have a way to do that, so it's a good challenge for me to figure those things out without a mobile device. But I want to talk about the customer. So this is a buzzword that I feel like I hear. I feel like it's become a buzzword. We all say, and the basic tenet of retail is the customer. Customer service, the customer's always right. These are not new ideas. But technology has enabled the customer to have more information, more access, and more choices, right? The cost of entry to purchase any product anywhere is a low barrier to entry. They can do it on a laptop, on a mobile device, anywhere, in their car. So let's talk about who that customer really is, because I feel like we need to really understand what their life is like. And I'm going to focus on a millennial. And this particular millennial is someone I know. And in observing her, she's a very good friend of mine, it was so evident that life has changed. She and I are in different boxes. I'm a Gen X, she's a millennial. Millennials currently age somewhere between the ages of 22 and 37. So they are parents now, right? They have a different lifestyle. They grew up as digital natives, so they're very fluid around the use of technology. So let's talk about Mandy, who is my dear friend. She went to University of Michigan, since we're talking about universities. She has an MBA. She is corporate turned entrepreneur. She is suburban. She lives in the Chicago suburbs. I live in Manhattan, so we have very different lives. So she's a suburban mom with 2 cats, 2 dogs, a husband, a house, 2 cars, 2 kids. She's in the sweet spot. This is who you want, right? Depending on what business you're in, because I know we have a variety of retailers in the audience. But think about who your customer is. Oh, and I didn't introduce them. That's Max. He's 4. Actually, he's not 4. He's almost 3. And then Ben is her newborn. So Mandy has a pretty busy life. So I broke out, just through my observations of her and spending time with her, just what her digital life looks like. And it influences, quite literally, every aspect of her life. There's no real need for her to go into a physical brick-and-mortar environment. So her primary devices are her mobile, which we talked about, laptop, which sits in the center of her kitchen. This is the hub of activity that happens whenever she wants to order something. Grubhub is a big one. We'll talk about that. That laptop is never too far away. Neither is the mobile device. She has a smart TV. She has, a connected car. She has a connected home, IoT, right? Internet of Things. We've probably heard that, connected homes. Nest doorbell, Nest thermostat, and these devices are all connected where? On the mobile device through an app, so they can always access them, know what's happening in her home. So Nest doorbell, Nest thermostat, a Nana baby monitor, right? We need to know what's happening with the children. And then also an Amazon Alexa, which not only do they have an Amazon Alexa, they also have a Google Home now. They use these devices so much. They have voice-activated devices on every floor in a couple of places in the home, right? Maybe a couple of those voice-activated devices in each room, or in a couple of rooms on the same floor. And then recently her husband replaced the Alexa with a Google Home, and they use it so much she didn't even notice that it was replaced, until her voice commands didn't work on it, and then realized it was a Google device. So now in one room of their home, they have a Google Home and an Alexa voice-activated device. Social connection is significant. This is a way we can not only connect with our family and friends and see what's happening in their lives, but it's a huge commerce platform, right? Opportunity. This is where she learns about products, sees what others are doing, how they're decorating their home, she's a big do-it-yourselfer. She likes to save money. They have great jobs, but they also are spending conscious. So she likes to do it herself. So she'll research on Pinterest. They'll research on Etsy, maybe make a purchase on Etsy. Go to YouTube to figure out how to actually execute, decorating the bathroom, building her son's bed, painting his bedroom. They take great care in doing it yourself from the things that they've learned online. Instagram, significant. I think we are going to continue to see visual commerce grow. Instagram will be a leader and is a leader in this already. They've just recently keep enhancing their commerce, right, portions of their business. And conversely, Facebook recently was shared that 17% of their subscribers have dropped, but Facebook also uses Instagram, so now we see why that purchase was so significant for them. And even in the case of my friend, she's removed Facebook from her mobile device. She's not off Facebook entirely, but she's removed it. Apparel and personal care, Stitch Fix, which is a subscription service. Rothy's Footwear, which is not only something she learned about online, but is also a sustainable product, right? We talk about those kinds of buzzwords. We talk about how those things are important to our consumers, wellness, sustainability. These shoes are washable, so you can use them over and over again, right? Make them wearable for a longer period of time. Madison Reed is a subscription service where you can get your non-toxic, health-conscious hair care products delivered monthly, so you can take care of those grays, wash those grays right out of your hair every 30 days. And of course, Rent the Runway, which I would imagine many people in this room are familiar with by now, but you can rent your apparel. They've recently, embraced workwear apparel. They have also been announced, I think it was about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. They are now one of the official unicorns in the business. They are at a $1 billion valuation. They have 6 million subscribers and a $1 billion valuation. And I've had people tell me that they are not even buying clothes anymore, that they're just going to do Rent the Runway, right? So for a young career person or any career person, having subscription workwear so you can look fresh and different every day, why not, right? For $150 a month, that could be a good deal for you. And then also special occasion apparel. Entertainment, Netflix, Apple TV, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Grocery and restaurant. This is how she gets her food. We do on-demand delivery for Instacart, Freshly, Marley and Spoon meal kits, Grubhub, Marley, Spoon, and Martha meal kits. So that's the Martha Stewart brand. It was funny, I was there recently about a week ago visiting, and our dinner choices were, and I did this presentation before I was there, the meal kit or Grubhub. And the laptop is in the middle of the kitchen, and then we decided we wanted to do that. And each one of us puts our order in Grubhub, and then it comes. It's very different. You don't call the pizza delivery guy. You don't call the Chinese food place directly. You just go to Grubhub, and you've got the whole world available to you. Fitness and recreation, Airbnb, vacationrentals.com, Parachute, which is a kid's fitness, so she does that for her kids, and then she does a virtual personal trainer. If I could make this stuff up, I wouldn't have done as well. And I'm telling you, I didn't even put most of what she uses on here. That's a very select group of what she does. So she recently was in a brick and mortar store at least over the holiday, and she couldn't get her baby stroller through the store. You know what innovation would have been to her? Getting that baby stroller through the aisles of the store. And as a result of that experience, she does not want to go back into a brick and mortar location. Not just that location, any brick and mortar location. Why? Because she can get it all online and have it delivered to her doorstep and optimize her time. It takes a lot of energy to put those kids in a car and drive somewhere. What else could you be doing with your time? And then last but not least, the cornerstone of all of this is a basic, and I would implore everyone in this room to make sure you have this right, ratings and reviews. Your online ratings and reviews. This is like your neighbor telling you what the best products and services are. And you got to get it right. This is one of the first places we go. Where is the store? I went to Starbucks this morning here in the Union. What was the first thing I did? I wonder what time they open. I went online. That's how I found out. And guess what? They were open at the hours they said they would be. It's important to get those small, basic, important details right, because that begins the customer journey. High level, here's what we're going to show you today and talk about. Voice shopping, so I already highlighted to you why these things are important. Our customer, that millennial, is using these tools. And by the year 2022, it's estimated that it'll be over 40 billion people using voice commerce. 2D in a 3D world. We talk about merchandising. If we're accustomed to looking at those products online, how they're showcased, right, on the digital screen, they're flat, they're outward facing, we can see clearly, they're edited. This is the Amazon bookstore. Very simple example of what they do differently there. 2D and a 3D world. The Nike store on Fifth Avenue opened last year. It is something, if you have the opportunity to go, I'm not suggesting that every business in this room will replicate what Nike is doing on Fifth Avenue, but I do encourage you to visit that store because they're doing a lot of things right. They capture a lot of the shopping experiences under one roof. So here's, we talk about experience. Experience translates into a great customer relationship, brand building, and ultimately transactions. So this is the lobby level. I just brought a few images for you to see. This is the lobby level, huge digital wall. That's my friend Manolo, who is a sneakerhead. You can see the impact of what going to this mecca, the sneakerhead mecca, looks like for this person. But it was a fun shopping experience with him because you can really embrace personalization here. So up in the right-hand corner is where you have a by appointment only workshop where you can personalize your shoes. Those are some of the ways you can do it. They have all the different color swooshes you can pick, different color shoelaces. This is a very clean, edited, curated. See, notice how the shoes are outward facing. This almost looks like an Apple store. Very, very clean, non-cluttered. And I would also say that my friend, the millennial, the other experience that she shared with me when she went into a brick and mortar store was not only could she not get her baby carriage down the aisles, is that there was a ton of visual clutter. That's what she saw, and a lot of visual noise. So then when you look at this, very clean, very edited, very appealing. The speed shop is located on the lower level. This allows you, if you notice in the back, right at the bottom of the stairs, there's some numbers. Each one of those numbers is associated with a category. So consumers can come in, shoppers can come in, go right to the lower level, and they offer a variety of services here. One is that it's almost like a physical representation of an online experience, edited, curated, very clean. So with each one of the categories, let's say number 6 is hooded sweatshirts, you can see, where's 6? Oh, I want a hooded sweatshirt, it's number 6. I'm going to go look for the number 6, and that's where I'm going to find the product that I want. Very efficient. Reserve and pick up, so they also have the ability to go on to your Nike app. You can reserve the products that you want. They will place them into one of these lockers. It will then have your name on it so that you can come in and try those products anytime you want. That's pretty cool. Here's another example of what that floor looks like. Very clean, very edited. Customization, personalization, we hear a lot of those words being tossed around. Every 6 to 8 weeks or so, they release a collection of clothes that you can then customize and personalize. There's about 6 patterns, I think, for women and men each. And then you come in, have them fitted, and then you tailor them a little more specifically to your like and need. And then you will never see those patterns again. They will reintroduce new patterns. Also, if you like this look, that's a bit of a nod to the online world. Great, you like that look? Just scan your QR code. We'll tell you exactly what this is, where to find it, how much it is. Boom, done. No thinking involved. Connecting physical and digital through augmented reality. This is becoming more and more prevalent. I think the beauty world is really running with this. You probably know a little bit about that. Helping that consumer visualize what these products will look like on the body, on the face, in the home. How does it impact their life? Help me sort through this decisioning. Amazon Go, I'm certain that this group has probably heard about this shopping experience. It's a convenience store that is frictionless. So there are no sales associates in the store. It's all driven by technology and digital. They plan to roll out about 3,000 of these. It's a rumor. By 2021. I will tell you my brother's feedback on this was his favorite experience about it was that he did not have to engage with a sales associate. That was his I said, what'd you think? I didn't have to talk to anyone. I loved it. This is a convenience store in a box. It's a kiosk, but it's a convenience store, manually operated. Again, we see the digital impact here. You can just operate it with a mobile, no sales associates required. And also these kinds of things, when you talk about an operational perspective is that they are profitable, right? Very profitable. There's a company in Asia that rolled out the Amazon Go type concept it took them less than a year from concept sitting around a table to having 5 in the field in Asia, and they were profitable within 6 months, right? Very quick turnaround on these kinds of things, on profitability. And also, it's meeting the consumer at the time and place where they're at. Thinking about things differently. This is LaGuardia Airport, Uniqlo. Has a kiosk there. Now, I talked about millennials at the beginning of this conversation, but guess who these people are? They're not millennials. And I had a conversation with them. These women were 60 plus, and I was so intrigued, one, by seeing the machine, but two, the people that were using it. And I had a conversation with them, and in that conversation, they said, this is amazing. They knew how to use it, right? They thought it was terrific because they could get something on the go. They didn't need to pack it. It wouldn't take room. It was efficient for them. They thought it was terrific. They loved it. So Uniqlo picked their top-selling products, put it in a kiosk, put it in an airport, and the magic happens. This I just saw yesterday, so the photo is a little, I was taking it on the go. This is at another place in LaGuardia Airport, well located because it's directly across from the men's restroom. This also has a mobile application, so subscribers to Dollar Shave Club, when you're in the vicinity of one of these new kiosks that they've just rolled out, you get a geo notification. It has a geo-targeted notification that makes you aware that that's available to you. Interactive, it's very visual. Their subscriptions, the reason this is becoming an important part of the business or something that they're testing is that the subscription business is flattening out, right? So we want to find new channels and new ways of thinking for them to move the business forward. So meeting that consumer in the time and place and where they're at. Has anyone seen this? Oh, good. It's not really something you can look at and say, I know exactly what that is. But this is a bread making machine for the grocery category. It's really quite sizable. But the idea is that it eliminates, it does two things. One, provides your consumer a fresh, homemade product, but it also delivers efficiency. So it cuts down on labor, delivers a high-quality product where that labor force doesn't have to come in at 3 a.m. any longer. You save on those costs, can put those elsewhere into customer service, and then that product can be made right there in the store on demand. It was a big hit at CES. But thinking about things differently, this is Pepper the robot. Pepper was rolled out at HSBC or launched at HSBC Bank earlier, about mid-year last year. It's been great success for Pepper to be the customer service agent that greets the customers as they come in the store. They do plan to roll this out globally. Pepper not only greets people, and it's also a great photo op, but the function of the robot is to help service those customers and direct them more efficiently, which has been successful. Pepper opens credit cards, and as a result of having Pepper, they opened from walk-in traffic 2 new $1 million plus accounts from having this robot. And Pepper also dances, which is really quite fun too, so there's a little bit of fun in it. The point of it, though, is I always think robots are fun to include in these kinds of presentations, but without having a functionality to that, then what's the point, right? We want to make sure that we're addressing those customers, servicing them in a way that matters and that's significant not only to them, but also moving the needle on your business. And with that, we're going to move into our conversation with Jake. Here are some of the things that we plan to cover. So voice as a user interface, the changing path to purchase, bringing 2D to a 3D world, experiential and storytelling, and unmanned, which is the kiosk. So that's why I wanted to share those pictures with you, because I felt like it would be good to set the table. And also ground us in who is our actual consumer, which is our real life person who really does use all those digital tools and services. Okay, Jake. So that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that was great.
Did
You
I
set
cover
the
it all?
table.
Did
Yeah.
I? All right, great. So I might have to stand up to see the clock here, but I'll rely on
We're
you.
good.
You're
Yeah,
taller than
yeah.
me. So, Jake, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. First of all, I don't know how much you want to disclose about your days here at UF. I'm confident that you are very studious, very driven,
Yeah,
very
I mean,
focused.
my attendance record was pretty strong. My performance in the classroom, not so much, but I was a multifaceted student. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be here. I have not been back in Gainesville since 2012, but I loved my time here. Got 2 national championships in the books as a devoted fan, and yeah. So I work for Moet Hennessy, which is a luxury portfolio of wines and spirits. Where our sister company is Louis Vuitton, and so we represent in total over 85 different brands in the luxury premium category. My role specifically is focused on digital transformation and innovation. So it's kind of both internal and external facing in that I'm trying to drive brands that are in often cases over 300 years old kind of into the future. And a lot of that is the less sexy data integration, analytics, and like internal employee education.
Yeah.
But then the other side of it is really what are the white spaces that our brands and our products can kind of lighthouse towards, and what are some new technologies, startups and partners and vendors that we should be working with to really bring our brands and therefore our consumers into like a new occasion, a new opportunity for consumption, and really a way to enjoy our products in new ways.
So you touched on a couple of things I want to jump into when we talk about culture. I think that's one of the biggest challenges when
Absolutely.
we move. And as much as I love innovation, I think it's really interesting and easy when we talk about not suggesting that it was easy for Rent the Runway to achieve $1 billion valuation, but it was all white space, right? That had never been created before, so you're not having to negotiate with, an existing board or management or, C-level organization. How do you approach that?
Yeah.
And I'm confident there's challenges because there's challenges in every organization with this, 100% across the board.
Well, absolutely. Innovation is a cultural thing, without a doubt. And I think there's this mystique that innovation is driven kind of bottom up, like let the employees drive the change. But in reality, it has to be top down. Like you need to have a CEO or CMO who's actively investing time in what the next route to the consumer might be. And so I kind of fortunately have an executive team who's really bought in on it. And it not necessarily needs to be an actual investment in time and money, but it needs to be something that they are kind of giving me the autonomy to explore with our larger marketing team and come back to them with solutions. I mean, my CEO says all the time, like, the best ideas get the money. So he's willing to hear us out, and we have a platform where we're sharing, these are the insights, this is how the consumer could or should react to this, and this is the path that we want to go forward.
That's why I wanted to share a little bit about the consumer and my millennial friend, and
Yeah.
I recognize that it's one person, but there's a large generation out there. They're the largest demographic, right?
Yeah,
and they're digital natives. So, she operates even differently than me, and I'm pretty digitally savvy, Jake. So, but we do think differently.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I get frustrated because I am the millennial in the room when they are talking about, like, how do we react to millennials? And I'm sitting there kind of like, you don't need to do that much more. I'm sitting across the table. You could ask me, and I'll tell you what the right way to do things is. But, yeah, I mean, there's certainly the way that millennials, and I don't even want to get into Gen Z because that's like a whole different approach to things, but we come to make our decisions in just a different way. And whether or not it's a technology like augmented reality or robotics or voice, I think what we do back at Moet Hennessy is it always has to be a consumer-driven insight. So I think there's a lot of decisions that happen because it's a buzzword and it's something cool that you see at CES, or it's something that a brand manager or brand director is super excited about. But those are all technology-driven insights and brand-driven insights, not consumer ones. So we often, I get frustrated because I feel like we move slowly on certain things, but in reality, we're doing that because we're not going to race towards a technology, because we want to make sure that we're moving at the pace that makes sense for our brands. Some of our champagnes were created like in the 1700s. So we're going to be around for 300 more years, and we want to make sure that we're not just doing virtual reality because it's something that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think technology should be an enabling tool, right?
Absolutely.
And thinking about what problem you're trying to solve or what question you're trying to answer, what are you trying to facilitate? Again, going back to the customer. For her, getting the stroller down the aisle would have been magical.
Yeah.
That would have been a great experience, right?
I mean, experience is absolutely key. It has to be experience driven, and I think like what I say a lot to our team is that it's not really our job to drive luxury consumers online, but it is our job to make the ultimate luxury experience when they come online. And so that is all about experience. Does your website offer the ability to click and collect? Does it offer the opportunity for you to find a store that's right around the corner from you? Does it give you personalization? Is there like a level 2 of CRM where you're not just receiving a weekly email, but you're getting certain offers that are specific to your needs? That's luxury experiences, and that can be done in a variety of ways, but it's really on the brand to decide what makes sense for them and therefore for their consumer.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just saw this, was it earlier this week or last week, McDonald's acquired a company for $300 million called Dynamic Yield. They do personalization and recommendations. It's the largest acquisition McDonald's has ever made. So we talk about recommendations. You mentioned a few things. I'm going back to the ratings and reviews, and we look at basics for online. Even in your description of a luxury experience is saying, where can I find the product, right?
Yep.
Dynamic yields, or what McDonald's is hoping to do, or it's speculating, that they will be recommending additional products through this, machine learning, artificial intelligence tool.
Yep.
And that also, they may even tweak it to have dynamic pricing options too. So we'll see about that, whatever that looks like. But when we talk about recommendations and ratings and reviews, recommendations I think are becoming more and more important as driving a purchase decision.
Absolutely.
Over, just infinite choice.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's why influencer marketing is what it is. Because it's a human who's recommending something to you. If you're following an influencer, it's because you believe in them, and therefore the products that they're recommending to you make a lot of sense. But I mean, the slide you had of 5 stars out of 5, like that's you believe that because it's not an algorithmic recommendation. Amazon isn't saying you should like this. There's actual humans who are noting that this is a product that works for them. So in our industry, the number one influencer is the bartender, right? So you trust your bartender when you ask for a product. You go to him or her and you say, what are you recommending today, or what's the best cocktail that I should have for this occasion? So our recommendation engine really is actually working hand to hand with bartenders, sommeliers, and beverage directors, and romancing them on our story. You should be drinking Hennessy because Hennessy is an 8th generation family product that's been passed along that uses over 200 different blends of eau de vie that is still, to this day, every morning at 10 a.m. they have a tasting committee that tastes every single one of those.
No
eau de vies.
kidding.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's amazing.
But when you talk about storytelling, that is becoming more and more prevalent as a driver. Who are you and what are you about as a brand? Whether you are, a retail brand, a CPG brand, a consumer, whatever your brand is, it doesn't really matter. It's really about who are you and what are you about.
Absolutely.
I also have luxury experience in my background in the beauty and cosmetic world for some time, and luxury was always about storytelling, right? Because you don't need those products. You don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need a new lipstick or a new handbag that costs $2,000. Nobody needs that. You want it and you desire it. Why must you have it, right? What's the why behind it? It's the quality of the craftsmanship. They taste, your committee comes out every morning and it's special. You create a desire and a need, and there's a story that goes with it. And then you feel connected to that brand.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so I think
storytelling
that's really
is
translating out.
I think luxury brands maybe have the luxury to have these stories because they are rooted in families more times than not.
Yeah.
There's a matriarch or a patriarch that had this vision, passed it along, and over time it the quality of the product became like the lighthouse for them. But even if your product doesn't have hundreds of years of tradition, if you focus on making your product as good as you possibly can, then that in and of itself is a story. And then nowadays you have voice, you have television, you have all the traditional media channels plus mobile and beyond to tell those stories in interesting ways. So it's like, I would say if you focus on the product, that creates a story for you, and then you find the unique way to tell it.
Let's talk about voice.
Yeah.
Because I know this is somewhere you spend some time.
Yeah.
You did some creative voice projects that have been quite successful.
Yeah, I think we are extremely bullish on what voice can be as a consumer kind of interface. Besides the fact that, like 1 in every 3 households have it. You were talking about your friend having multiple. I think it's like 30% of Alexa owners also have multiple Alexas in their home, and it makes sense, right? The ability for you to interact with your technology using your voice in your ears is far more simple than using your thumbs. So we kind of see like time away from your screen as a luxury, and this is just that step forward. Is you're stepping away from your phone, but you're still getting all of the benefits of an interaction with technology. But we've been bullish on it. We started working with the Amazon team in 2016, and we were trying to figure out like what is the right way that we should be working with this voice technology. Because in 2016, Amazon Alexa did not know how to pronounce champagne. So we had to literally work with their AI, these geniuses up in Seattle, and teach them how to pronounce champagne, teach them how to pronounce Dom Perignon, teach them how to pronounce Veuve Clicquot, Moet. Alexa was stumbling over her own words in that sense. So that was kind of like an interesting partnership where we were kind of developing the voice of Alexa for our brands. But yeah, we kind of tackled it and said, if people have questions around a category that we have a pretty dominant stake in, we want to make sure that we cover off all of the potential questions that they could have. So we, interestingly, worked with Google to find the insights that we built our Amazon Alexa skill for. They weren't too happy about that, but we basically took Google search insights, found what are the top 50 questions or queries that are coming up around the category of champagne, and then we answered all of them within Amazon Alexa. So, where do the bubbles come from? What's the difference between champagne and Prosecco? What's the right temperature to be serving it at? How many bottles do I need if I'm having a party for 10? What's the right pairing suggestion? Or if I'm eating Chinese food, what should I be drinking?
Can I ask you, what is the number one question?
The number one question is, what's the difference between champagne and Prosecco?
Okay.
And that in and of itself is the biggest hurdle that we face.
Keeps people up at night. Keeps people up at night.
Yeah. I mean, you can't sleep about it. It's the biggest problem is bubbles as a category is growing through the roof, but that's all driven by down market products, right? It's Prosecco, sparkling wine, Cava, like people are having a taste of luxury, but are kind of okay not upgrading into our product range. So we went through this voice practice to kind of help educate people who are clearly interested in the category, but maybe don't understand the difference. And it was, I mean, it was phenomenal, the response that we got. In a matter of 30 days, we had 400,000 conversations between consumers and
Wow.
and Amazon and Alexa. And I think as we like project forward, it's thinking beyond just the category, but now like what are occasions that we can start owning? Because if you're planning a trip, you should be thinking about the places that you should be drinking while you're on your trip. If your birthday is coming up, why don't we help you plan that occasion? Or if you're looking for a gift, we can take you through a recommendation of a wide variety of products that would be the perfect solution for.
So what you're saying is you're thinking about, it's not about the product. So I know one challenge was that you wanted to create more exposure and understanding around champagne specifically, right? So that could be a product category that grew and you sell more, translates into sales, right? That is the business that all of us are in, and the consumers want to purchase, incidentally. So let's make it easier for them. But they're also thinking about the complete lifestyle and a total ecosystem of that consumer, right? My travel, the
Absolutely.
occasions, like who is that customer and what does their total lifestyle look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is like we're not really here like chasing voice as a technology. It's more like we felt that the best way to talk about our brand heritage, to talk about the production process, and to kind of romance people on the occasions that they should be enjoying our products was through voice. And so we want it to be kind of a utility first and foremost, but we want it to be a place that people will kind of like go to and fall in love with our products. So I think there's other things that we are testing, of course.
I was just going to ask you, what are you looking at? What do you think?
I mean, augmented reality is an interesting thing for us, but I don't think we found the utility for that. Like if I'm walking through an aisle, why would I pull up my phone to see what's in front of me?
You know, I just saw that, and I didn't do it because I don't have whatever app it was, but there is a wine bottle, I'm sure you know the company, that you look at the label, and I thought, and I was in a CVS, it was in Austin while I was at South by Southwest, and I saw it's
called Living Wine Labels.
Yes.
And they have an entire range of products. It's amazing what they've done. They have a Walking Dead wine, and you hold your phone up to it, and zombies are pouring out of it. Now, that works for them, but we're not going to have Madame Clicquot walk off the bottle of a bottle of Clicquot. You know, that it would, because she's a historic kind of like untouched character, bringing her to life in a 3D rendering would almost be sacrilegious. Like it's not happening. But what we have done with augmented reality is it's kind of like bridging the gap to like physical,
digital. I'm not a the word phygital I don't love, but I get it. We've got to come up with something else, so I'll challenge everyone in this room to be creative and think about that.
One of the biggest innovations that we've had in the past 5 years since I've been there is we created a vending machine for champagne. So
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I was talking about vending machines, I'm telling you, 4 or 5 years ago, and people, I know where I was, and it was at a big CPG brand, and they nearly laughed in my face. They thought it was hilarious. And I was like, you wait. Meet the customer at the time and place and where they're at. I've seen Starbucks vending machines, and you see it, and you go, why didn't Starbucks do that sooner? I've seen the Moet Hennessy one. It's fantastic.
It's like a new old technology.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the same reason why podcasts make sense, because it's just like
it's radio.
Like simple. Yeah. But yeah, it's honestly the biggest thing we've done, and people like it seems so obvious now, but when we did it, it was crazy. You know, we had our brand owners saying like, how could you possibly cheapen our brand by putting this in a vending machine? But we did it, and now like the 2.0 of that is we've created it's an augmented reality photo booth that's connected to the vending machine.
Oh, that's
so you put in you actually have to take a photo, and that emits a coin that gets you your bottle.
Oh, and then what do you do? Do you do something with the photo?
So
it's a give to get situation.
It's gonna
I'm
be
gonna get,
it's
right?
gonna be very like program by program. So right now we're celebrating the 150th anniversary of Moet Imperial, which is their like flagship brand. And the branding of that bottle you'll see is it looks like there's a tie that goes around the top of the bottle. So with this, you're basically being like wrapped up in the tie of the bottle.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
pretty awesome.
Are they? Are you? I'm curious because like Coke Freestyle, when you use the app, the Coke Freestyle machine, which I'm sure many people have seen and used, is a huge revenue generator on top of having the elements, in my view, of being personal, social, customizable, right? It embodies all of those things, but through the app, you can also socialize out your own personal recipes to your community.
Yeah.
Is that what you're also doing with these kinds of things?
I mean,
or?
this is
How are you thinking about it
that
right
is
now?
kind of like part of that 2.0.
Okay.
Is I think we at this point it's almost the first rollout was a PR stunt. People like we would bring it to the red carpet of the Golden Globes,
There's
and you
no
had
shame in that,
no,
though. You
no. I
gotta-
mean, you
there
take it
is
to the
some
red carpet of the Golden
value
Globes. You
in
have
that.
Brad Pitt getting a bottle. We've hit our impressions mark for the year, you know. But so that was like the 1.0. The 2.0 was finding the right partners that this vending machine would make a lot of sense in. So it's casinos and hotels, the ultra luxury hotels, that when you check in, you're getting a coin, and what do you want to do? You want to go get a bottle of champagne to start your vacation. This 3.0 is now finding like places that have a little more scale, and the idea of the photo booth is a means of like now creating a digital connection, so we can get a better understanding of who is drinking our product, why they're drinking it, where they're drinking it, so that we can create that loop. Because right now there is no feedback loop. You know, we don't own our retail environments. We have an idea of who we want drinking our products versus who actually is, and we need to like figure that out. We don't really know liquid to lips. We don't know who's drinking our products.
You know, that's knowing who your consumer is and using data. And one thing that I did not touch on underlying all of this, and we've a little bit alluded to it though, is artificial intelligence and machine learning, data-driven decision making. You know, those kinds of things are really, to me now, are just the table stakes and the way business is done. It's almost as if we shouldn't be talking about AI and machine learning or data. It's just part of the nature of things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be bullish on two things, I would say it's got to be voice and it's got to be AI.
Yeah.
Because the AI will fundamentally change the internet. You know, there's going to be...
It's huge. It's huge.
And it's
I
on, I would say, it's on brands and businesses to be very aware of the AI that they're building, because like any algorithm, it's written by humans, and so it's up to you or us to have a very empathetic and human approach, consumer centric, without being too disruptive or I don't know, annoying.
Making it more of an enhancement tool, like a chatbot currently is in some ways.
Yeah, and
it's a first iteration of that, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, like that helps the consumer. I'm actually more adept at using those now. At first, I was a little like, I don't want to use that when I get on the website, but I actually quite like it, because if I have a quick question and things, then it can direct me. If it needs to be escalated to next level, then they direct me to a human. Right?
Well, that's the gap, right? It's like voice and chat are both powered by AI, which are the way that you can humanize or drive a human conversation between your consumer and your brand. It's you can't have 50,000 sales associates picking up people's phone calls or texting them back when they're on your website, but
you could,
AI
but
allows
it would
you to
be
do that.
all the money you saved on your friction-free stores.
Yeah,
you're
and
now
in
gonna
reality,
spend on that.
it like people, I think we met with Facebook last week, and it's like there's 10 billion conversations between humans and brands on a monthly basis.
Wow.
So if you're not there, they're just going to go talk to somebody else. And I think chat, that's why I say it's the gap, is because it's along the same idea. You're writing scripts and you're answering questions. So if you can write a script and answer a question for a chatbot, you can do that for a voice bot. Mm-hmm. And those are all connected, so you need, as a brand, you need an operating system, which is which is what AI will do for you. And from that, you have voice, you have chat, you have social, you have email, you have retail, you have your events. It's all like now circling around that. Yeah, I could go on for days about this stuff.
So I want to leave some time for questions. Betsy, I don't know how you want to roll with that, but if we have some questions from the audience, I think Jake would be a wonderful person to connect with on some of this stuff.
So with Amazon Go being convenient...
Where is that? Oh, see, okay, thank you.
And no salespeople bothering you, do you see this as a sustainable future of retail?
So the question is, do we see Amazon Go as a sustainable future of retail, or frictionless, or
Yes.
convenience?
I think frictionless, yes. I don't think Amazon Go is.
Well, it's cost prohibitive.
Yeah, but the idea, absolutely.
I agree.
I think you're seeing that the Nike store example to me is like the next step is just eliminating. They call them coaches, are the like sales associates in the Nike stores.
Yes.
But the coaches get in the way. The last time I went to the Nike store, I just kept going to someone like, how do I check out? I just need to, like, I want to pay.
I need to leave.
I need to go. And they kept taking me from, oh, you should go see the running coach. And I'm like, I don't want to see the running coach. I just want to pay for these shoes and leave. So, yeah, I think that like frictionless makes a lot of sense with the way that, you know, we now have seamless payment systems. So your phone is just your credit card. So you can walk in and out of a store and you get charged. Your bank knows about it. Everybody, you know, the data is collected and the retailer knows a little bit more about you. And I think for certain industries like ours where we don't own retail spaces, the frictionless idea becomes quite interesting because you can do kiosks and pop-ups, which allow you to get closer to the consumer. So, yeah.
So retailers that have clean, open concept space, such as Nike, are high-end businesses with product that require little space and high retails that can drive profit to support the real estate space. What strategy would you recommend for a company that drives value for the customer and has assortment that requires more space?
So just so I'm super clear, as you're saying, you need more space because there's more products.
Yes.
I think I would probably look at there's a lot of different technologies you could use, but I think I would probably look at the way that consumers are flowing through your current store and optimize the product and shelving based off of that, right? So if you see a lot of people are spending a lot of time in the produce section, I would make sure produce is front and center, and then all these other like non-perishable items can probably go into storage. And
I'd agree. I was just thinking about, look, because I came from interior analytics and data and analytics for physical and offline when we talk about brick and mortar. It's creating those efficiencies around that. So your sales don't always correlate with where the consumer is. So when you look at dwell times, where they're going, customer flow, the customer journey, so how they move through the store, how long did they stand in one area, I would consider measuring the performance of those locations also against sales, right? So then you have, because, you know, depending on, there may be some reasons why sales are not spiking, but the consumer behavior, the actual physical behavior is I'm standing in front of my shoe wall, but I'm not transacting. Why is that, right?
Well, yeah, and I think I would probably argue that even if you do need this, like a wide array of products in your store, it falls in line with the previous question around like frictionless shopping. Like your app should really make sure that those products are easy to find and easy to buy, and therefore the rest of your store is more of an experience-led space, where sure, like perishable items should be front and center, but all the non-perishable stuff should just be on your app, and you can kind of click and collect.
Yeah, I think it's the top. You know, I've used data in the past successfully with clients where they've done that, where you do your top performers based on sales and traffic and conversion data, then putting the top performers in the high performing space, right? And you can do that even without traffic numbers, but aligning the traffic data with the sales, like your top SKUs, and putting those in the top flow, sales go up. Boom. You know, making it easy and convenient. What does the consumer want?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it even now. Like some of our retail partners are trying to like monetize how our products come up to the top of their apps and websites. You know, it's like an additional layer of search that we now have to pay for. Is optimizing against the search for champagne or cognac or vodka or whatever it may be, and that's just like, it's sneaky, but it's smart. But it's like gaming your product mix to maximize value for the consumer, but also like pulling it out of the suppliers that you work with. It's quite interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With artificial intelligence services being introduced, such as your example of Pepper, how are retailers combating the pushback from people uncomfortable with the technology?
Uncomfortable with robotics? I don't have a ton of experience working with robotics. The wines and spirits industry is a little behind in that sense. We have actually done some interesting tests with one of our retail partners on the West Coast, which has a robot that is not human-like. It's like a vertical rolling kiosk type thing, not kiosk, vertical rolling screen basically. And the tension that we saw wasn't actually with consumers. Consumers loved it. They were following it around the store, wanting to interact with it. The tension we saw was actually with the employees in the store. Mm-hmm. So the CIO actually got rid of some of his employees because he saw that they were not charging it overnight because they didn't want it on the floor the next day, or there's a camera in front of it, so he literally could see who was messing with the robot, and they would go and take the robot and put it in the corner and make it so it couldn't roll around.
Punish the robot.
Yeah. And
well, that is the thing. I've seen that too in sales data when we had like traffic counters in stores, and I could see that in one particular store, the data would just drop, like it would just disappear, and it was on Saturdays around 3 all the time. And I just said to our team, I said, that's somebody charging their phone. That's somebody charging their phone. I can tell you it's a part-time employee. I can tell from the data. It's a part-time employee that doesn't know what that plug is for, pulls it out, charges their phone, and that's the issue why the data's not coming. And then also people would put, tape over the lenses and all those same things. So technology can be friend and foe to the sales associate. But I think that is a really excellent point in suggesting, on that piece anyway, that, educating and getting adoption and a whole topic of change management then becomes a conversation, but how you socialize things into the organization so that they are looked at as tools that help, everyone be successful as a team.
I
That's
mean,
a different topic.
The robot or the AI is supposed to eliminate the menial tasks that our time sucks for your employees. Everything else, it just gives you more time to be more of a concierge or more of an advocate for your consumer. So that example of the retail store was he wanted his sales associates to have deeper conversations and make better recommendations for the people that were walking into the store and not having to constantly go back to restock or have to do pick up garbage in the middle of the aisle. It was eliminating that stuff so that they could be better at what they're really there for. I
think also to the point of this question, would consider thinking about, again, who is the customer? So there's two thoughts I have. Is one, in the case of Pepper, it isn't the only tool they have. They haven't eliminated people off to the right as the customer service desk. So there's always the option to just speak with people. It is a little bit of a PR stunt, a little bit of an engagement piece. But the children, young people flock to it. So did families. I mean, I have images of, families, engaging with Pepper. So there was still the human choice in that case. But I would think about a couple things is where do you want to drive your business? Who is your target customer? It may not be a millennial, right? That's okay. If that is not your customer, do you want to offer those? Goes back to what we started the conversation with. Technology is not the solution. It's what question are you trying to answer? What are you trying to provide? Who is that customer? And really knowing who they are, right?
Absolutely.
Sure, I see a hand. Betsy's got a microphone, I think, behind you.
Anne-Marie, in your discussion in St. Petersburg, you forecasted that you indicated there were 1,200 regional malls left in the United States, and you thought there would only be 300 left in 20 years. I wanted to know if you think that's still on track, and are you seeing a movement towards smaller, freestanding, single-tenant buildings?
Man, thank you so much for saying that. That's a really great question, and I'm glad that you remember that because it is a powerful statistic. So the regional mall is, we're seeing a shift and change, and I'd be interested in what your perspective is. In New York City, they just opened Hudson Yards, and I saw someone post about that development. Now, Manhattan in New York is an ecosystem unto itself, right? And it's created a whole neighborhood within that city, and it is a mall. But it's also a neighborhood that they've created. So it's residential, restaurant, they have corporate, they have condo community, housing community there. So it's a multi-use, mixed-use development. I do think that the regional malls are going to continue to be challenged. I do stand next to what I said a few years ago. And the reason is the consolidation, right? We won't need everything everywhere. If we go back to my example of the human that's in my life, the real person, Mandy, she doesn't need to go to a mall. She does not need to. So what is it that we're creating that drives that consumer into those physical locations? So I think if we look at, I think we're going to have more of the A developments, type A malls, B malls, C malls will probably go away in the enclosed malls. Shopping centers will be targeted probably more around, lifestyle, service centers, fitness, wellness. We can talk a little about wellness is such a big, big trend. Healthcare is a big trend in terms of, those possibilities. I was in the Westfield Mall in Century City. That's a major mall, but just to give you an example, they have if you've not been to that development in Los Angeles, it is just spectacular what they've done there. They've really redeveloped what that concept is. And I've spoken with people who live in the Los Angeles area that just go there and take meetings. They don't necessarily shop there. So if you walk around, they've created a beautiful environment for people to hang out in, and green space and lounge areas. So it's a really different way to think about how to use space.
The Restoration Hardware in Manhattan is the best coffee shop in downtown.
Right.
You can sit on a $20,000 couch and have a cup of coffee. It's fantastic.
Right,
yeah.
It's incredible. That Restoration Hardware in Manhattan is really stunning. So, but even in the Westfield Mall, they've thought about, I'm going to give you two examples. I would also say it's a different way to think about space. So I think our commodity-driven businesses can easily move online. So my question then to a commodity-driven business is to say, okay, who are you and what are you about, and what are the services you provide around an ecosystem of lifestyle, right? If it's a grocery, purveyor, you may think about, what that would look like, because that's going to be an anchor. The people still like to go, I think, pick out produce, but maybe you'll do a buy online, pick up on store, drive up, pick up. But in the Westfield Center, they included not only, I'm going to give you two examples of thinking about space differently, is they have a healthcare brand called Forward, which is an app. I belong to one of these. It's called One Medical, which is a concierge service. It doesn't cost me hardly any money per year to do. My insurance works with it, and everything's on demand, mobile, through my app, e-commerce. That's how I communicate with my doctors. That's how I make appointments. That's how I get prescriptions, all through the app. Forward is a subscription service like that, and they have a brick and mortar physical location in the Westfield Shopping Center in this beautiful new redevelopment. And then they have their own proprietary technology that you can do your weight. And it's the idea is that you're proactive around your health and wellness. And then they also have a physical space. Next to it is literally next door, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's something that does anything that's kind of wellness and beauty related. Cryotherapy, any kind of IV. They have an IV lounge. This is very LA, though. IV lounge where you can get your IV. It's crazy, crazy. Your injections, beauty injections. So any kind of Botox injectables. So that's a different way, and it's very it's a subscription. You can become a member, show up, participate. A different way to think about what would be in a mall. Lastly, I'll touch on Hudson Yards, where there's a new concept called Eden, and they just got another round of funding, but that's like a lounge. Think about like a WeWork, like a co-working space meets a hotel lobby meets an airport lounge, all in one. So they're not even doing a subscription service with that space, but that is for a digital, if we think about our digital nomads, which I am one, you're a bit digitally nomadic, right? You still go to a brick and mortar office, but you're fluid.
I avoid the office.
Good job. So, we're digital nomads. So what do those kind of people need and like and want? And what would anybody want is a space to chill out. So you can at Eden, you can take a shower, you can work, you can eat, but you only pay by the hour. So it's like $6 an hour. So they've put one of those, and they plan to start those in New York City, and then they'll roll those out everywhere. So for me as a digital nomad, that's like heaven to my ears, because it's difficult to do calls or where I need to like just do a quick meeting. I don't necessarily want, a full subscription to something.
Yeah, WeWork is, at least the WeWorks in New York are an awful place.
Yeah, and they're really noisy.
Overrun. It's like a cafeteria. But I know we're probably out of time. The one thing I would say is there's a book called Palaces for the People, which is all about the way that we should rethink public spaces. I would absolutely recommend it to anybody here. It's mostly focused on like libraries and community centers, but it's creative ways that you can use places to bring people together. So virtual bowling leagues in libraries are a thing that are popping up all over the country, and it's about bringing experiences into physical places that are standing. They're not being knocked down, but they're not being used to their ultimate potential. So there's some interesting thoughts within that.
Great. I love that recommendation. Yeah. And with that, I'm very confident we are out of time.
Anne Marie and Jake, thank you.
Thank you.